Hello, Namaste, and welcome to Shlokamritam, where each verse of Bhagavad Gita is not just recited but revealed. One shloka at a time, we unfold timeless truth of dharma, life, and mind, not from a distance but within us. And today, we begin the sacred journey with the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the yoga of Arjuna's grief. This is the moment before war where the real battle is not between the armies but between emotion and clarity, attachment and dharma, fear and action. And strangely, this opening is not led by an warrior but by a king who cannot see. And here comes the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakaha pandavaschaiva kimakurvata sanjay. This is the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Now let's understand word by word breakdown. Like we will understand each and every word of this shlok, what it says. It says Dhritarashtra uvach. Dhritarashtra uvach means Dhritarashtra said. Dharma kshetre, in the field of dharma. Kurukshetra, in Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is a place, right? It still exists, and we know. Samaveta. Samaveta in Sanskrit means assembled together. So the Pandavas and the Kauravas assembled together in Kurukshetra, right? So Samaveta. Yuyutsava. Yuyutsava. Yuyutsava is someone who is eager to fight. Yuyutsava. Mamakaha. Mamakaha is my sons. And then Pandava cha eva. Pandava cha eva means and the Pandavas. Kim akurvat. Kim akurvat means what did they do? Sanjay. Oh Sanjay. Now these are the word meanings, each word by word meaning of the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Now let's understand what exactly is the meaning of this shloka. The literal meaning of this shloka is Dhritarashtra said, as I told you earlier, that Bhagavad Gita doesn't start by a warrior. It starts with a king who is actually blind. He is the blind king, Dhritarashtra, the king of Kuru dynasty. So Dhritarashtra says, because he cannot see, he cannot go to the battlefield, he has his charioteer Sanjay, who is also a good friend of him. Sanjay is blessed with divine vision, where Sanjay can sit in the palace and see what is happening in the battlefield. So he is appointed to explain Dhritarashtra what is happening. So here Dhritarashtra is asking, O Sanjay, assembled in the field of dharma in Kurukshetra, my sons and the son of Pandu. Pandu, who is Pandu? Pandu is Dhritarashtra's own younger brother. That is Pandav's father. So he says, assembled in the field of dharma in Kurukshetra, my sons and the son of Pandu, desiring for battle. They came for battle, right? They have the desire to do a fight. Desiring for battle, what did they do? Now Dhritarashtra is very much excited about to know what is going on in the battlefield. Now we now stand, this is the meaning of the first shloka. Now, understanding this shloka, understanding the first verse, first shloka of Bhagavad Gita, we now stand at the gateway of Mahabharata's most intense moment. The war at Kurukshetra is about to begin. Hundreds of thousands of warriors assembled. Drums are silent. The war did not start yet. Conches ready just to begin. Tensions crackling in the air. And yet the epic does not begin with Krishna's wisdom. It does not begin with Arjuna's confusion, but with a question from the blind king Dhritarashtra, the king of Kuru dynasty. And this question is not casual. The shloka, when we have gone through the meaning of the shloka, it seems very casual question asked by Dhritarashtra. But this question is not casual. It is loaded with emotion, fear and inner conflict. Trust me. So let's understand deeply. So, if you examine deeply two words in this shloka, number one, Mamaka, and number two, Pandava. Now, when I say that, Pandu king was Dhritarashtra's own brother, younger brother. So, Pandu's sons are his nephew. They are also his own family, right? But what Dhritarashtra says is, Mamaka, my sons, Pandava, Pandavas and the Pandavas. Now, if you concentrate on these two words, you will understand he could have said our children, he could have said both sides, but he doesn't. He separates the Kauravas as mine from the Pandavas, them. In the tiny word Mamaka lies the seed of the war. This is not just Dhritarashtra's personal bias, this is human nature. We divide the world into mine and not mine, my religion, my family, my beliefs, my ego, my friend, my son, my daughter, my. This fragmentation creates the battlefield. The verse refers to Kurukshetra as a Dharmakshetra, the field of Dharma. Now, think Kurukshetra is the place where they are about to fight. This is a battlefield. Why would someone call it as Dharmakshetra? Why? What makes it a sacred field? Because this battlefield is not for arrows or chariots. It is where Dharma is tested. In your life, your Kurukshetra is wherever your inner Dharma is challenged. When truth demands a price, when comfort tempts you away from conscience, when love asks you to let go, whether it's a courtroom, it can be a hostel, it can be a hospital as well, a classroom, or even in the family conflict. That moment of choice is your Dharmakshetra, where you are standing in a point where you have to make a choice between your Dharma and your attachment. That is the Dharmakshetra. So, as I promised earlier in the first episode that I would share a story. Now let's understand this shloka based on a story. It says, in a quiet kingdom, there was a wise yet blind king named Viraj. He ruled justly, except when it came to his son. His son, arrogant and unjust, once punished a poor farmer without reason. The king's ministers demanded action. When the ministers demanded action on his son, the king trembled. "He is my son," he whispered. To which a minister replied, "You are not just a father, you are a king. If you cannot uphold dharma, who will?" The king closed his eyes, not because he was blind, but because he did not want to see. This was Dhritarashtra's dilemma, not the inability to see, but the refusal to face truth over attachment. Many yogic traditions read Mahabharata symbolically. Like, for example, Dhritarashtra represents the ego, blind with attachment. Sanjay symbolizes a higher inner witness, the soul that sees clearly. Kurukshetra is symbolized as the human mind, torn between virtue and vice. The war is the inner struggle each of us face daily. This is not a historic event alone. This is a mirror. So, this shloka, the very first verse, is not about politics or warfare. It is a question that arises in the hearts of all spiritual seekers. And what is the question? The question is, when my lower tendencies and my higher values are ready for battle, what do I do? Do I choose my lower tendencies, or do I go with my higher values? Right? This is the question that arises. Have you ever been in a situation where you saw injustice but stayed quiet because the guilty person was close to you? Did this happen to you ever? Maybe you were part of a toxic group, but you didn't walk away out of fear. You knew what was right but clung to comfort, right? That moment is Kurukshetra. And you are Dhritarashtra if you ignore truth for attachment. You become Sanjay if you choose to see and speak with clarity. And you are Arjun if you prepare to act with clarity despite sorrow. The Gita is not calling us to a battlefield. It is calling us to awareness. So, this is what I wanted to speak about the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita. So, the first shloka is not merely a starting line. It is the seed of the entire Gita. It holds these powerful truths. We all have blind spots, just like Dhritarashtra. Our attachments often disguise themselves as love over duty. And when we fail to see truth clearly, we create inner and outer wars. So, the real battlefield is not outside, it is within. This is all about the first episode from me. In the next episode, Sanjay, since in the first episode here, first shloka, not episode, this is the second episode, first shloka, Dhritarashtra asked a question to Sanjay, right? Now, the second shloka, Sanjay will be describing the scene. And the first person to speak, again, not Krishna, not Arjuna, but the mighty Duryodhana, who is the son of Dhritarashtra, the eldest son of Dhritarashtra. What he says reveals much about power, fear, and psychology of conflict. We will uncover all these in Shloka 2 of the chapter 1. If my shloka made you pause, reflect, recognize your own inner battle, drop a comment, share your thoughts. Let's walk this journey together. Like this video if it inspired you. Subscribe to Shlokamritam for new shloka every day with insight, depth and storytelling. And most of all, carry this wisdom into your life, because Bhagavad Gita is not just a book, it's a mirror. Hari Om Tat Sat.